Coming up, unreasonably privatized objects will be returned to state property. The Commission on Demonopolization of the Economy begins its work in Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan is working out alternative routes for shipping export oil. The restoration of the Caspian Pipeline Consortium equipment will take about 3 weeks. Learn more on that in our news digest. The Bilim Hackathon 2022 IT competition among students will be held in Kazakhstan for the first time. Kazakhstan is exploring the possibility of shipping oil for export via alternative routes, the press service of the country's Ministry of Energy reports. In connection with an accident in the system of the Caspian Pipeline Consortium, or CPC, the relevant ministry is currently conducting consultations on the timing of the resumption of the work of the sea crude export terminal.
Это действительно трудоемкие, высокотехнологичные операции, которые подразумевают привлечение водолазных бригад.
It is really a time-consuming work that requires the help of diving crews and the involvement of a multifunctional vessel. But the first thing we need is a tanker to wash the lines, because we cannot start the work without it. We have not received confirmation from our partners yet, so we do not expect tankers to arrive in the next 2 days. And as I said, in general, the work takes at least 3 weeks.
И, как я уже говорил, минимальное время для работы на одном из ВПУ – это не менее 3 недель.
The CPC is considered the main export route for Kazakhstan's oil, accounting for more than 80% of the volumes pumped through the pipeline. The Trans-Caspian International Transport Route is untapping its potential. Presently, in view of Western sanctions against Russia, which have affected the transport and logistics system, business has begun to look for new ways to transit goods. Thus, Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan and Georgia intend to establish a joint venture. It is aimed at facilitating transportation and will address the issues of pass-through tariff setting and cargo declaration. Azerbaijan Railways has already started transporting fuel oil from Kazakhstan along this transcontinental route.
В свете турбулентности и напряженности ситуации вокруг Украины, этот маршрут практически сегодня становится безальтернативным.
In light of the turbulence and tension around the situation with Ukraine, this route is now becoming the only alternative. In terms of the development of transport between China and Europe, Kazakhstan and Azerbaijan play an exceptional role here. Suffice it to say that in recent years, feeder communication has been actively developing within this route. In particular, the recently launched Turkestan ferry operates quite effectively on this route and allows increasing the volume of cargo transportation.
Недавно был запущен паром Туркестан, который достаточно эффективно действует в рамках этого маршрута, позволяет, увеличить объемы перевозок грузов.
The countries of the region now have high expectations regarding transit capacity. Container traffic on the Trans-Caspian route increased by more than a half last year. Thus, in just 2 months of 2022, the growth amounted to 15%. The Commission on Demonopolization of the Economy has started its work in Kazakhstan. It will consider the issues of the transfer of unreasonably privatized objects to state ownership, in particular in the spheres of telecommunication, railway infrastructure, media assets, as well as other industries. Following the results of the first meeting, Prime Minister Alihan Smailov instructed the Ministry of Finance, jointly with authorized state bodies and Samruk-Qazna, to submit proposals to the government on mechanisms of transferring unreasonably privatized objects to state ownership within a week. The 7th repatriation flight is being prepared for the evacuation of Kazakh citizens from Ukraine. They plan to board a humanitarian aircraft on March 25th. According to Kazakh embassy in Ukraine, citizens must arrive at the gathering point in Lviv the day before the departure, or get to the Polish city of Katowice on their own. To date, 836 people have been evacuated from Ukraine, of whom 690 have returned to Kazakhstan. Israel's COVID infection rate has risen again. The number of positive tests has increased, but most importantly, the transmission rate of the virus has already passed the coefficient of 1. The influx of refugees into the country is a major cause of the rapid spread of infection. The country's government held a special meeting on plans to combat coronavirus. The issue of introducing coronavirus restrictions, namely the mask rule or reduction of mass events, is being discussed. Hospitals are preparing for the next wave, while the authorities are urging citizens to get vaccinated or receive a booster shot.
Чего скрывать? За 2 года ковид всем надоел, и
The fact is that in 2 years, everyone's got tired of COVID. Those who could be frightened were frightened. Those who could be persuaded to get vaccinated were persuaded. There is always a group of people who do not give in. That's if we are talking about developed countries that have a wide range of efficient vaccines.
широкий спектр вакцин, хорошо себя зарекомендовавших.
Further evolution of the coronavirus may lead to the emergence of more contagious and dangerous variants. A group of scientists from the UK and Italy made such predictions. According to the researchers, the mild symptoms of the Omicron variant are a mere coincidence. New COVID-19 strains will be able to evade immunity and cause more severe symptoms. Scientists note that the contagiousness of the virus is necessary for its evolution, while the severity of the disease is a side effect. At the same time, the herd immunity that could stop the pandemic can work the other way around. Experts believe that because of it, the virus will be able to change in such a way as to better bypass the defense system of those who had COVID-19. Kazakhstan's epidemic situation has significantly stabilized. The country reported 12 new cases of COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. Almaty accounted for the highest single-day case count. 8 new cases were detected in the city in the past day. Karaganda, Mangistau, Pavlodar and Almaty regions registered only 1 case each. No new infections were reported in Nur-Sultan. Since the onset of the pandemic, total COVID-19 cases in Kazakhstan have passed 1,305,000. According to the latest data from the Health Ministry, over 6,000 residents are currently receiving treatment for coronavirus. About 600 of them are in inpatient care. To date, more than 9,127,000 Kazakh citizens have been fully vaccinated against the virus with 2 doses. 3,153,000 people have received a booster shot.
A new variety of cotton was bred in Turkestan region. A team of the research institute grew a plant resistant to dangerous pests and various soil and climatic conditions. The scientists have been observing the cotton plant for 2 years. The new Kazakh variety of cotton is early maturing, drought-resistant, salt-resistant, and easily tolerates close groundwater occurrence. Breeders hope that it will be possible to increase the yield up to 45 centners per hectare. According to preliminary forecast, 1,800 tons of seeds will be required. Almost 70% of these are ready. Cotton is a heavy feeder. While other plants are self-pollinating and can be cultivated, cotton is cross-pollinated. We have identified the new variety in our own experimental station.
The IT competition Bilim Hackathon 2022 will be held in the capital of Kazakhstan on March 26th-27th. The country's Ministry of Education and Science is holding a competition among students and programmers for the first time. The main goal of the event is to develop new IT proposals in the field of education, as well as to motivate young professionals. Each university and vocational educational institution will be able to send 1 team to take part in the competition. Participants will be given various tasks. For example, to prepare a project on digital solutions in the field of education, both on a free and a given topic. The Bilim Hackathon prize fund has also been announced. The winners will get 1.5 million tenge. The jury included representatives of well-known IT companies. The best participants will be presented with a job opportunity. The literary heritage of Abai was translated into Turkish. A connoisseur of Kazakh literature and culture, writer and scientist Ashur Özdemir translated the words of Edification. Previously, he had already worked on the works of famous Kazakh writers and poets such as Alihan Bokeyhan, Marjaq Abdullatulu, Sultan Mahmud Toraygurov, and others.
Ve bunun yanında Abay'ı en iyi ifade eden
The words of Edification accurately describe the Kazakhs and Abai. In Turkey, people know the great poet, but not everyone is familiar with his philosophy and other works. I want to note that the words of Edification had already been translated into Turkish. However, the translation slightly differs from mine. The Regional Local History Museum in Pavlodar presents 3D model of nomads' historical heritage, such as stone sculptures, steles of an early Iron Age, rock paintings, and many other interesting artifacts. For example, this is an exact copy of a wooden comb. It was used by a Sarmatian woman during her lifetime. The comb was burned along with the utensils in the funeral pyre, leaving only a petrified imprint in the ground. A unique artifact was found in the west of Kazakhstan in the Tokhsay burial ground. Such materials as wood and felt are practically not preserved. Those artifacts that archaeologists find are in rather poor condition. Therefore, they are also not displayed. They are kept by archaeologists in the museum's funds. Using 3D scanning, archaeologists managed to recreate dozens of artifacts from the Scythian-Saka period and achieve their original form. Ancient people used them in the vast territory of Eurasia, from Mongolia and Altai to the Black Sea, including in the Pavlodar-Yertis region. We were told many things in history of Kazakhstan classes, and we came here to personally see them. Exhibits impressed us very much. At the exhibition, we saw ancient objects. I would like to get more information about their exhibits. It is very impressive, because now everything is mostly mechanized. That is, everything is done with the help of modern technologies. It used to be recreated by hand. This is very impressive. The work of scientists to create a 3D copy of artifacts found in different parts of Eurasia will continue. Jibek, a resident of the North Kazakhstan region, works on popularizing Kazakh musical instruments. He opened a workshop for the production of dombras. According to Jibek, he became interested in his craft as a child. Each dombra has its own sound. As the craftsman says, an important factor here is what kind of wood musical instruments are made of: apple trees, willows, or birches. Dombra made of birch sounds beautiful. I first started working with these trees when I moved to the north of the country. I used to make musical instruments from apple trees, apricot trees, and willows. Now I work with birch. Jibek holds a degree in music. He tries to instill the love for art in his children too. He has 2 daughters who are now also learning to play the dombra. Dad made this dombra especially for me. I like this musical instrument. I've been learning to play it since I was 10, but I only know 2 Q songs so far. One is called B, and the other King is. Jibek not only makes musical instruments, but also writes Q songs himself. He admits that he is willing to share his experience with young people so that they know firsthand what traditional art is.